Day. And let's begin. Let me just see who's here. Okay, cool. Neil, your camera's not on. If you don't mind turning it on, that would be great.
Oh,
Just so we can see you. So,
there. No, it doesn't want to stay on.
there we
There it
go.
is.
You're on. Very nice. Yeah, as I always say, if you've got stuff going on in your house or you have to take a phone call or something, please just make sure you're muted for the benefit of everyone else on the class. Um, and we will jump right in. I think today's going to be an exciting class, a lot to show you. Thank you to everyone for sending me your photos, showing me that I'm doing my job properly because I'm getting lots of different photos from all of you. So hopefully you've been excited and enthused and gone out and enjoyed the assignment. Um, this particular assignment of fill the frame was somewhat ambiguous, and it was ambiguous on purpose. I know a couple of you emailed me and asked me kind of for more clarification. Reason being why I decided to give it like not much specificity, if that's a word. I didn't want to be too specific with it, is because I'm really trying to get you all to get into the mindset of how, at its very core, photography is an art form or a theorem of exclusion rather than addition. It's all to do with what do we take out of our picture in order to take the viewer's attention to the main, let's call it focal point, which, if you remember, is just the fancy photography word for subject. You see that come up in GCA again and again and again. They talk about either like a plus, and you'll see this on a lot of your photos, like attention was taken to the focal point. Often filling the frame allows us to do that. But a common mistake, and something that I definitely didn't see happen with this group as much as I have in previous assignments, which is great, which is exactly why I set the assignment, is the want to show everything. So when you're standing and you've got an amazing view of like Seattle and the lake and and then the ocean and the sunrise and like a million things going on, and the temptation is like, oh my God, this is all amazing. I have to put it all in my photograph. Sometimes that works, but the majority of time, I think I set up the exercise, but I'm going to repeat it here because it's good reinforcement with this phrase: show less, tell more. So sometimes if we show everything, A, we let the viewer's attention wander around the frame, which we definitely don't want to do. We don't want it kind of going to the top right, going to the bottom right. Am I on Adam's glasses? Am I on Adam's hand? Am I on his pen? Ideally, there should be one focal point. Not always, but most of the time. And secondly, by not showing everything, what usually happens is you make people look at your photos and kind of ask questions. Like, I didn't realize Ali was there, Since was there, Nick was there. Like, what are they doing? Like, what's the picture of? Oh, this is interesting. Like, because you can't see the whole thing, it's not giving away the whole story. I actually was just helping another garden club set out their show, and when GCA are judging, and you see like the Focus magazine that they ask for submissions for, you'll often see when they break things up, there'll be like creativity, like composition in terms of how they weight the judging, creativity, composition, and then there's one in there that always slips in at the bottom that says distinction, which is interesting. Distinction is, I always think of it as like how unique is your photo, but I don't believe that's the exact GCA definition. It's more to do with it's a combination of how creative have you been, how well composed have you been, how strong is the subject. Like, essentially, it gets down to the core of have you been intentional when you've taken your photo? And that's the key. You may remember the very first class I taught all of you. I talked about the four P's that I say you need to become a good photographer. Anyone remember any of them? Feel free to shout them out if you do. Anyone got any ideas? Have a guess, even if you don't know what you can't remember. A word beginning with P that could make you a good photographer. Okay, I'll give you some clues.
Perspective,
This is good. What do you say?
patience,
Good. Don't look at your notes though
Um,
if you can. So
I'm trying to think.
patience,
Remember, I can't find my notes.
since good, but patience is definitely one of them. So patience is something.
Perspective.
Yes, good. Slow down,
Um,
pump the brakes. I'm gonna go through these. But yes, patience and perspective are two. So patience, number one. If we take a second, if we think, does everything I'm taking a photo of need to be here? Are there like superfluous elements that I can get rid of? Should I wait 2 seconds for the sun to come out behind the cloud, or that annoying person? Like I'm on vacation, I'm trying to take a picture of my kids or my family or my friends, and there's some annoying
right.
person right behind them. Either I'll move, that's perspective, zoom with your feet, or I'll just, if I can, but usually the people who you're with will be like, come on, hurry up. Why are you taking so long to take the photo?
Maybe.
But especially like patience is a huge one in helping us be more intentional in our photography. Perspective is the second one. Essentially, that means move, zoom with your feet. Don't be the person who, when you go to take your picture, it's like your feet is stuck in cement and you kind of maybe go a little bit this way, a little bit this way, but you don't think to move closer, further away, round potentially the subject, treating it as a 360-degree object. And that can be you're in a forest and you're like looking up at the trees, looking down at the trees, going close up to the bark and finding an interesting fungi or mushroom that's growing in it. Or it could be you're photographing your pet um, and you want to get down to their level. I photographed my dog. I have a 30-pound dog. He's not particularly tall. He's like 2 foot tall. Like if I photograph him and I look down on him the whole time, that doesn't create a very strong emotional engagement with the viewer. I want to look directly into his eyes. So whenever you photograph anything that's small, pets, kids, you generally want to get down to their level. But the same is true even of photographing like a flower. Like most people, they're like, oh yeah, that's a pretty, I'm in the botanical gardens and there's a really pretty blue. It's all the way over here and they go bump and they take the picture and they're like, oh, that's nice. I would say that is documenting the subject. We're not creating a picture to document it and put it on Wikipedia, if you know what Wikipedia is, which is just like, I want to show what a California poppy looks like. Boom. What we want to do is we want to create something more artistic. We want to be more creative. And by you changing your perspective, maybe it's, I'm going to ask, sorry, I'm going to call some people out here. Cindy, if I go lower, if I go like this, and I look up at the flower, what happens to the flower? How do I make it?
becomes becomes bigger,
A-
wider.
Absolutely, it becomes bigger. It's just changing my perspective is straight away going to become bigger. There's a reason why people do selfies and they hold their hand up here because it makes them look more slender. No one wants to like take a picture up here and see Adam's four double chins and up my nostrils. Like it's just no. But for flowers and things and anything that where you want to, I mean, I'm looking at who am I looking at? I'm looking at various people who've got things in their room. You're cycling through me. But even like I don't know, Cince has got like a quite interesting shade or background behind her that has some texture. Just if we went up to that, like if we could document that and say, yes, this is that. I'm not sure if it's a blind or a shade, I can't really see. But if you go really close up to something like that and maybe point up or point down at it or tilt your camera, all of that is changing your perspective. And I would argue that that second P means that you can create an extraordinary picture out of something that is very ordinary. You don't have to be at the Grand Canyon or at Yosemite or at Lake Tahoe to create an amazing picture. It's all about a way of seeing. And perspective comes into lots of other things that we've talked about and you'll hear me touch upon as we go through the pictures today, which is like lighting and composition and framing and those ingredients that go into making a good photograph. Because the minute you shift your perspective, you change where the light's coming from. Ideally, we want it coming from behind us. Not always, but it makes, especially for those of us on phones, which is the majority of people in this group, when we move, it changes our composition. Where's our subject in the frame? It changes how things are framed. So perspective is the second one. The third one is practice
No.
on the four P's, which is what I'm encouraging you to do by setting these assignments. The more you practice photography from someone who's taught photography for over 20 years, the more you practice the kind of the quicker you improve, the more you get out of these lessons. If you have the lesson and then you wait till 24 hours before and then you quickly get your camera out and try and take a few pictures, that's not really going to get you very far. It's not going to get you as far as I'd like to get you. I always kind of analogize it to if you wanted to be a weightlifter and you went to the gym once a week and tried to lift the really, really heavy weight and then kind of put it down and then waited a week and then went and tried to do it back, you're not going to get very far. Whereas if you go to the gym every day and you just consistently lift smaller weights and you build it up and you build it up and you build it up, you're building up that muscle, which is what I want you to do. I want you to build up that kind of photographic muscle, which means that all of the stuff that I teach you becomes much more subconscious. You don't really have to think about it. It's like driving a car. You don't think about, I look in the mirror, I flip the indicator, I push on the gas, like lots of things all happening at the same time, but you don't think about it because you do it every day. Same with photography. There's a really good phrase by a famous French street photographer that, which again I think I shared with you, but I'll reinforce it here, called Henri Cartier-Bresson. You can look him up. Bresson. He's probably the forefather of street photography, much like I suppose like Ansel Adams is the forefather of landscape photography. And he has a great phrase that says your first 10,000 photographs are your worst. Basically just means you have to practice. So patience, perseverance, perspective. Oh, sorry, I gave the last one away. The last one is perseverance. So which order did we do them in? We did. So we got to do patience, perseverance, practice, and perspective. That's usually the order I give them in. But perseverance is such to say, if you find something difficult or if it's challenging, that's okay. Like we learn the most from the mistakes, not necessarily from the stuff that we find easy. And also, I would say persevere. The beauty of digital photography, which we all have, is that A, it's free, doesn't cost us anything to go out and take pictures other than your time. And B, the feedback is instantaneous. So you can take a picture, look at it, and be like, I'm not sure about the lighting there. I'm not sure about where I put whatever it is in the frame. I'm not sure if I included too much. And you just take another one. So the perseverance part is become much easier since the advent of kind of film to digital to mirrorless cameras. And now, to be honest, the majority of people who I teach are at a level at this group, most people are taking maybe 70% of their photos on their phone. Some of you may be doing 100%, some of you may be more 50-50, but because the phone is always with you. And as you've seen, I've focused quite a bit, this group, on in-camera technique on the phone rather than kind of anywhere else. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? I'll just pause for a second. That was a lot of information. Cool. I just want a show of hands. I know some of you are on Android and some of you are on phone. How many, if any of you, are using the Lightroom app to take photos on your iPhone or your Android? You may not even know what that is, so don't worry if you don't, but I just want a show of hands for anyone who may be doing that. Okay, none of you. That's good news. That means there's lots to teach you. So at the moment, for those of you who are, and this is probably for another class, but I just want to kind of set it up and I may get you guys to download this before we next speak. At the moment, when you are shooting with your phones, we are as a group very much focusing on what I would call the conceptual, which is the how do we frame it? How does it look? Where's the light coming from? Like, how do we compose it? Where's the focus? Like all that stuff that we've spent quite a bit of time talking about. Actually, let me share my screen. I'm going to draw a little diagram for you because I can see some of you guys making notes. Let me share my screen for you. Okay, everyone let me know that you can see Lightroom. See it okay? Yes? No? Thumbs up? Good. Okay, so good photography, here's photography. Good photography, we have spent a lot of our time, almost all of it so far, on the conceptual. Basically, how do I see better? Helping you kind of see like a professional photographer. That's my aim. And that's intentional because this acts as the foundation for everything else. If you can't see properly, you can't understand light and understand composition and understand framing, then nothing else is really relevant. You can know all the technical stuff in the world and it's not really going to help. But a big other part of photography is the technical. And it's once we kind of have our picture and we kind of know what we're going to do, we're going to be intentional. How do we execute? What do we need to do in order to get the exact photo that you're looking for? In truth, photography is a blend of these two. It's probably 50-50. But some people are right brain, some people are left brain. The beauty and where I always get excited teaching photography is you can be a really like numbers person, hate artsy stuff, and you can go really down the technical route and start getting busy with equations and numbers and stuff that we won't get busy with now, but you can make it very numerical. On the other hand, you can also go on the really artsy side and you'll be like, yeah, I don't really care for the numbers. They're too confusing. You need to know a basis for them I haven't taught you yet. But at the moment, with all of your phones, and some of you I know are using cameras, and I don't know whether how much kind of automation you've got on that or how much you're controlling, but on everyone here who's using a phone, this technical side at the moment is totally automatic. You are not controlling the main mechanisms of how the camera works. You're controlling what it sees, but you're not controlling various things that have to go into creating a photo. That arguably means you're using about 10 to 20% of what your phone's cameras can do. My job, one thing that kind of goes into this big framework of how do we create better photos, is to get you so you have more control here. So once we kind of feel good and we've mastered this, which we're getting better at, we will start, we'll do both, but we'll start introducing some more technical stuff. Now, by default, Apple or Android, if you have a Google phone or a Samsung, don't let you take control of your camera because they don't want you all going to the Apple store and saying, hey, I was like at an event and I went to take pictures and everything was bright white and totally dark or out of focus and I don't understand why my camera's broken. So they try and automate the whole thing. The iPhone, in fact, any phone, its main job when it takes a picture is to give you the scene that you're looking at or the thing that you're looking at the correct brightness. So behind the scenes, all this stuff is kind of going on. All these different numbers are being changed to mean that you get the correct brightness of the photograph. Again, if we talk in photography terms, the correct exposure. The problem is with that is lots of those things that we can change, those variables, help us do stuff to our photo. They help us be more creative. They tie into the conceptual. But you can't on an Apple or an Android phone change any of those things without downloading a third-party app. Now, there's hundreds of them that exist, but in the long run, what I always recommend to all of my students, all of my classes, every single person, I don't get anything out of it, I just think it's the best, and it's by far the most used, is to use the Light. There's an app called Lightroom. You can download it on your phone from the App Store. You eventually will have to sign up and have a subscription. But my hope is that in the kind of short to medium term, that we will have everyone in this group, if you take photos on your phone, here's your phone, we'll have you taking them using we'll have you taking them using the Lightroom app on your phone. Reason being is that's going to give us much more control over the technical. Sorry about my writing. Everyone in my family is medical. I have doctor's handwriting. And then what happens when we actually start using the Lightroom app is that as long as we set it up correctly, when we come back to our computer or our iPad or whatever you use other than your phone, all of those pictures are automatically waiting for you on your computer. Does everything for you. You don't have to do anything. And most people like playing with their photos, editing them, making a book. Maybe you want to make a book of a trip you went on, or you want to make some holiday cards or whatever it may be. Most people don't want to do that from their phone. They want to do that on a nice screen where they can see the photos bigger. So a big advantage is the photos end up here automatically. So they automatically come here. And then we have the full accessibility of this program called Lightroom Classic, which becomes our one-stop shop for everything photography. Out of interest, I know none of you said you've got it, but have any of you, just a show of hands, it helps me, have any of you ever sat on a class or heard anyone talk about Lightroom before? Okay, so about 70% to 75% of you. That's good. I mean, it's by whether you're on an Apple or a PC, it doesn't matter. You can get it on both. But it's become the one-stop shop for everything photography. I mean, I teach 10 workshops to groups just on Lightroom. I don't think we're there yet as a group, but I want to focus more on the taking of the photos for you guys. But I want you to know that this is in the pipeline of something that eventually I may get you to do. And you'll see when we review some people's photos today, they've hit the technical ceiling. That's to say that they saw the photo really well, like everything was like correct, but because the iPhone they were taking the picture on was just on automatic, it couldn't handle it. And it did the best it could, but it wasn't great. So make a note of this. Actually, or while you're here, because while we're here, it's saving going back to it later. Just go to the App Store on your phones. I'll just show you what it looks like, and then at least you've got. Because I don't want you to download the wrong one. And you're going to go to your App Store, and you're going to open it up, whether you're on an Android or a iPhone, makes no difference. And you're just going to type in Lightroom, and you want the one that looks like. Hopefully you can see this okay with the blur. It looks like that. But I'll make myself big so you can see me. Hold on. So I'm not tiny. It looks like this. It's going to blur. Let me just get rid of my blur and then you can see what's going on.
Can you pull it back again?
Yeah,
I can't really see
I'm
it.
gonna unblur it. Hold on. Give me a sec. I just got to go into my Zoom so I can unblur it. There we go. So there. Now you guys can see it.
Lightroom photo editor.
And you can take a picture of it if you need to take a picture of it, but it's LR. This is the one I'm going to want you to download. Okay. Now you're not going to be able to use it straight away when you download it because you have to sign in and get an account. And don't worry
Go
about
back one more time, Adam. Put it on the screen. Thanks.
Of course. And Phil, guys, take a picture of that or a screenshot of me just to make sure you get the right one. Because there's lots of copycats. And the copycats are just like knockoffs of Lightroom. And Lightroom is the one you want. So this, in the long run, will enable us to essentially, A, create a better workflow. And by workflow, I mean like we take our pictures and we're on a walk with our dogs and we come home and they're all there waiting for us on our computer. We don't have to do anything. That's an efficient workflow. That makes your life quicker, easier. And secondly, it's going to make you be much more creative because, and a lot, if you guys start getting more into like entering, I'm just thinking on the GCA world, but I know you guys do photography for other things, but on the GCA world, when GCA say, hey, we've got this show, and they give you all these requirements, and they're like, file size must be between 2 megabytes and 5 megabytes. File must be named, last name, first name, class 4, show 11, whatever it is. All that stuff becomes incredibly easy to do when you start using Lightroom. If you're trying to do that yourself manually, it's hard, it's time consuming, it becomes a chore. And I don't want this to be a chore, this is meant to be fun. That's the whole point. So Download that. Don't worry about it so much. We're not going to go into it today. Today, I've got to cover some other things that I want to cover first. But just know that that's something that I think that this group will benefit greatly from. And it's kind of
I
on my
quickly answer the
agenda of
question.
things to show you. Hey, Nick.
Yeah, sorry. So I use Lightroom on my computer,
Yeah.
and I think we get two computers with a subscription. If we get it on the phone, which I've had before but deleted because it was an old phone and it took too much space, do
Mhm.
I lose one of my contacts to
No,
my computer? How
no,
would you?
because actually, and it depends what Lightroom you're using, but the Lightroom and like they've rebranded the whole thing to really confuse people. So the Lightroom on the phone used to be called Lightroom Mobile, and then the Lightroom on your computer used to be called Lightroom or Lightroom Classic. The one you ideally want is Lightroom
Yes, I'm
Classic.
using Classic.
Good.
Yeah.
So when you download Lightroom on your phone, it's a different type of Lightroom. It's Lightroom Mobile. There's no conflict in the subscription.
Okay.
It's not going to suddenly pop up on your computer and say you can't do it. And then because you've already, unlike most people in this group, because you've already got an Adobe account, Nick, because you've got Lightroom Classic, all you do is you put in your credentials and then they start talking to each other. As in you
Okay.
just
Thank you.
username and password. But yeah, you can have it on a phone and a computer, no issue at all. Okay, cool. Anyone else got any? As I said, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much today. But
Well, I went to get my phone. I couldn't find it earlier. There are two light rooms when I look at it.
one's probably an advertisement. So I'll show
Now
you.
they get.
Pardon? So you can see here, can you see when I pull it up on my phone, I've got an
Yeah,
iPhone,
I got that one.
but it shows you this
That's
one and it also shows you this one. There's two. It's the same
There's
thing.
two.
It's the same thing.
okay.
It's just
That's good.
Okay.
they've paid Apple to come right at the top of that's an advert, but
Okay.
it's the same one.
Okay.
The words you're looking for are Lightroom AI photo editor. And within
What's a photo editor?
yeah, but we can take pictures. Don't worry. It's got a camera. It's got a whole thing built into it to take pictures.
Okay.
So I'd love for you to all, for those of you who are here and those of you who are on the recording, I'd love for you to download that. Only takes us a few seconds to download, but I'd love for you to download that before the next class. Okay? Because that's going to help me make your life much easier. And you're all going to have slightly different ways that you do things. But in the long run, here's like my dream scenario for everyone in this group is any photo that you're taking that you want that's for photography, whether that's for me or whether you're on vacation or whether you've gone like to a beautiful place and you want to capture it, that will all be taken through the Lightroom ecosystem. You'll take it in the Lightroom app. You're going to have more control of your camera. It's going to come on your computer automatically. If you're in the grocery store and you're taking a picture of a back of a cereal box, or you're taking pictures of receipts or letters or whatever, that's not quote unquote your photography. That's your documenting. That we continue to do just with your normal camera. That never comes on your computer. It never touches the Lightroom ecosystem. So we kind of separate them. So you have your iPhone for documenting, as many of you do, take pictures of letters and receipts and interesting things you sometimes see and you just want to remember them. But then we have our real photography, and that lives in the Lightroom ecosystem.
Hmm.
So that's kind of, and for you guys, kind of a beginner intermediate group, I teach a lot of like intermediate to advanced, or groups stay with me and we go through the chain. It's the common pathway is we learn to take the pictures better, see them better, be better conceptually, then start adding in some technical, which we need Lightroom to do if you're using a phone. If you're using a camera, you can just take your camera and turn it off auto. If you, like Nick uses a camera, for example, a lot of you use cameras, I know. But I know a lot of you message me and do message me and be like, I took this on my iPhone, I took this on my Android. Why didn't it work? Like, what was the issue? And
So can you
sometimes
turn auto off on your smartphone or iPhone or whatever it is?
only by using a third-party app.
Only by
So as I say, by default, like I'll use Apple as an example, because most of you have an iPhone. Apple there is no way you can go in any of the settings on an iPhone. Like if you go deep into the menu and the settings and look at the camera to turn it off automatic, because they know that 90% of people who aren't studying photography, getting more into photography. They just want to like point and shoot, document, and they want to make sure that the brightness is correct and that it's sharp. And that if you ever tried, I'll give you a perfect example. If you ever tried taking a picture with an iPhone in bad light, let's say you're in a restaurant or it's dark, or you try taking a picture of the moon with your iPhone, the iPhone's terrible. It will say like, please hold still, try and be steady, like, and then you'll take the picture and it'll be a total blur. That's because that's one scenario, and there's lots of scenarios, but that's one scenario where you would have hit the technical ceiling of what the camera can kind of manage or compute when it's in automatic. That was a long answer to your question, since, but essentially, no, you need a third-party application, and by far and away the most popular one to do that with is Lightroom.
So with Lightroom, is it a paid app that you use on that one?
It's a good question. So the app is free. You don't pay. So if you download it now, you don't pay anything for it. But in order to have kind of the full ecosystem, which is ideally what you want, which is Lightroom Classic on your computer and the Lightroom app on your phone, you have to pay, and they change it the whole time. It's like $9.99 a month or $10 a month. They changed it to a subscription. Years ago, you used to go out and buy like a CD and stick it in, and then you had the program. For the last 7, 8, 9 years, it's been a subscription. So what would happen, like Nick has the subscription, which is why he just asked about how many things can I put it on. You get the subscription, I'll use the Apple example as you guys all pay Apple for something called the iCloud. Apple debit you $2.99, $3.99, $5.99, $9.99 a month, depending on how much space you have. But that basically means that like you have your own little space in the internet that's dedicated to you, that you're paying for. And that means if you drop your iPhone in a stream and you lose it and you go and buy a new iPhone, you just type in your Apple username and password and all your contacts come back, all your emails come back. Like you don't have to reset the whole thing up again. Adobe is exactly the same. What you're paying for in the subscription is not I mean, you get the programs, but you're paying for the fact that you get this dedicated space in the internet, but rather than it be Apple Cloud, it's Adobe who are the people who make Lightroom and Photoshop, which is much more advanced than we're getting to right now. And to be honest, most of the tools that are in Photoshop, they are starting to migrate into Lightroom and Lightroom Classic, because for years I was having to teach different Photoshop classes and different Lightroom classes. They're made by the same company, just Photoshop was just a bit more advanced, I suppose. But what's happened over time is Adobe, the people who make these programs, are trying to make your life easier. And they've made Lightroom, or they're making Lightroom, your one-stop shop. So a lot of the tools, like I'll take a really simple example. I want to take someone out of my photograph. You never used to be able to do that in Lightroom. It was a Photoshop technique. Now you can do it in Lightroom. And there's hundreds of examples of things like that. So the ultimate aim for all of you is that, and maybe I'm just going to share this. I'm going to show this to you really quickly. Hold on. Let me just open up a new window here. Can you guys all see my internet? Because I want to make sure if you kind of start doing some things, you don't download the wrong plan, which I see tons of people do. So if you go at the top, if you go to adobe.com, again, you can follow this through with me. This would be on your computer. And you go to creativity and design. And you can go to photographers, because that's you. And I click on it. Okay. Don't worry about a lot of this stuff here. But if you click on the top up here, it says compare plans. By the way, can you all see my internet? Can you see my browser?
Yes.
Good. I'll make this nice and big so it's easy for everyone to see. So let me move you guys out of the way. So we're going to go compare plans. Okay. And here, and a lot of people by mistake, they're like, oops, I signed up for the $70 one. You don't need that. For you guys, this is all you, I mean, if you want to think about getting Photoshop, you can always upgrade it afterwards. It's $11.99. But this is the one that you want, because this gives you access to Lightroom This is the one on your phones, and Lightroom Classic, which is this is the one on your computer. That these two programs are designed to talk to each other. So these two work together. So what will happen if you say buy, and this is a thing to do on your computer, you won't need to do it on your phone. But if I hit buy now, it may not let me do it because I've already got an account, but let's have a look. Okay, there we go. So you can pay however you want to pay, and you will get a, I'm just going to run through this. You'll get you don't let them try to upsell you. You don't need any of this. But you will enter an email here. So let's just say I entered my email. And then you'll enter a password. And that becomes your Adobe account. And if you eventually said, oh yeah, I really want to get into Photoshop and I want to start making panoramic pictures and I want to like exhibit in art galleries or whatever you want to do, every program you would add, some of you actually may have this because a lot of people use a program called Adobe Acrobat, which is how you read PDFs. If ever people send you PDFs, that's an Adobe product. So you may already have an Adobe account. So don't be alarmed if you put in your email here and it says account already exists. In that case, you just add the photography plan to it, keep it all under the same email. But generally what this is going to prompt you to do is it's going to go here. And again, you guys can watch the recording of this. Me, it already knows my phone number, so it's going to send me a phone number. But essentially, you're going to put in a password and away you go. I'd love for you all to both download it on the phone, and if you feel comfortable, and you don't even have to pay for it. You can do the free trial if you want to just experiment. The free trial, you get 30 days, you get a month. I think it's a month, unless they've changed it. Let me check. What does it tell me? Feb 3rd. Oh no, that's annoying. So they give you now 2 weeks. But you can do the free trial, but I would not do this, especially if you're worried about committing and paying. I would not do the free trial until maybe the day before our lesson, because then I'm going to teach you how to use it, and then you've got 14 days to experiment. I don't want you to download the free trial now and wait for our next lesson, and then it's expired, and then you've got to pay for it. But I can tell you that I don't think I've ever had a student, either privately or in a group setting, and that's in the thousands, maybe in the tens of thousands, who's ever come back to me and said, I hate Lightroom, I don't want to use it. I don't think I've had one. So it's just a way to help us manage our photo. It's actually designed for three things: efficiency, speed, and creativity. And if we can help with all those three things, then photography becomes fun, it doesn't become a chore, and then we can be really artistic. But the key why I brought it up today and kind of setting it up is because you'll see in the photos that I'm about to share, and we're going to go through everyone's photos, is that some of you, as I say, hit that ceiling where I could see there wasn't much else you could do. It was just the limitation of the fact you have an iPhone 14 or an iPhone 16 or a Samsung, whatever Samsung you have. Okay? Before anyone got any, I'll pause there. Has anyone got any questions on that? So the only person who's, Nick, you've got Lightroom already because you've got it on your computer. Has anyone else got it on their computer? Okay, Ali's got it. Great. Oh, Ali, you're on mute, so you may want to. I can see you're trying to ask me something.
I actually have Lightroom on my phone,
Oh, good.
not on my computer.
Good. Well, then you've probably paid to have it on your computer without realizing that you can put it on your computer.
Okay.
So that's something we'll kind of. But for the moment, I'm more focused on the phone anyway, because these workshops that we're doing in this kind of group are all to do really with taking photos rather than editing photos. I'm not going to go down the editing route that much, or as you guys would say, route. Okay, anyone else got any questions? Good. So just please make sure you get that on if you can, just download it on your phones before the next class, because I'm going to show you some things you can do with it. But I can't show you today because 90% of you don't have it. Right, let's get into looking at everyone's photos. So back to fill the frame. Okay. So again, like always, I've anonymized everyone's photos. I've randomized them on purpose because I know some of you don't feel comfortable with sharing that it's your photo. If you do feel comfortable and I call you, please feel free to let us know like whose photo it was, where you were, how you took it. That's all interesting. But let's start here. Lucy, where does your eye go in this picture?
To the blue door.
Excellent. This is a perfect example of filling the frame. I guarantee that all of your eyes, when I first blew up this picture, went to the blue door. Now, there's lots of other things that are helping here take the eye to the blue door. For example, in fact, I'll put it out to the room. Let's see if we can guess. So the blue door, obviously, because it's bright and it's contrasting color. Whoever took this, nice job on not showing me everything over here and like lots down here and lots down here. And maybe there was a really interesting tiled roof you didn't show me. It's a perfect place. This was yours, Neil. Nice job. Really nice place to start with filling the frame. Has anyone else got any other ideas why your eye would go to this blue door, other than the fact it's just a different color and it's bright?
The fountain.
The fountain.
Okay, yeah. So we could say the fountain is creating a line. Anyone see that there's actually a more complex leading line here, but it's not that complex, but we've talked about. Anyone see any other type of leading line here that would take us to the door?
Is it that walkway?
Yeah, good. What do we call this, everyone? Anyone remember?
The S line.
Good. It's an S curve. So here there's an S curve taking us through. So I would, like, if I was listing of like the ingredients that make this a good photograph, 1, there's a leading line. 2, it's filling the frame. 3, look how good a job Neil did here in using this vegetation to help almost create a picture frame. We've talked about this before. This is a natural soft frame. Take us to the door. This is a perfect example of perspective. If Neil had been standing over here taking this picture, we would have seen this like white window and lots of the wall and lots of the rest of the facade of the building. But by choosing to obscure that with the vegetation, it very, very naturally takes us to the blue door. Now, arguably, I could say Neil could have filled the frame even more here. By the way, when I work on these photos and you see me playing on them and do which you see me do in every class, this is Lightroom that you see me like mess about with your photos and play around with them. But there was an interesting photo to be had if we walked to the end of the path and took the picture just like this. That's a storytelling picture. Don't have to show the whole door. In fact, I probably don't like the white edges at the top. That's a storytelling picture, especially if I maybe include a little bit more foliage here. I would have moved, but you wouldn't have had the fountain there, but you can see what I'm doing. Maybe I offset the door to the left. I go like that. It's another interesting way we could have taken it. Maybe this one I can't recreate, but maybe I would have gone right up to the door if I felt comfortable and kind of just focused on this like interesting texture difference. This is going to look really blurry but the texture difference between like the spokes and the like curtain or whatever, the drapes there.
Oh, wow.
Tilted my camera a bit and done that. That's fill the frame. It's getting closer and closer and closer. You see GCA talk about this a lot, and they encourage you to try to do this when they give the theme of intimate landscapes.
So you would call that an intimate landscape?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to define it. I know that the GCA definition of an intimate landscape is you don't see the sky and you don't see the horizon. So if you would have pulled back here and showed me the whole house and maybe there was a nice blue sky, that wouldn't class as an intimate landscape. An intimate landscape is a small, I'll use a photography word, a small vignette of the scene. It's just a small part of it that doesn't show the sky and doesn't show the horizon. They usually say plant material is required, which this has. But this, yes, this would class it 100% as an intimate landscape. I mean, to be honest, there's fill the frame pictures everywhere. Hey, you could have focused on the beautiful flowers. You could have come up to the fountain and like looked straight down on it and seen if there was water on it. There's lots of different. Maybe the photo just becomes like of the fountain. Different type of picture. Although I'd argue maybe the blue door is a bit distracting behind there.
Is
But
that an intimate landscape?
all of these would be an intimate landscape. This would be classed as an intimate landscape. Some judges
Really?
may be like, that's more of an abstract, but technically it's an intimate landscape because you're not showing the sky. But that's not really a land. I think a landscape, you need to see something like this, um, rather than it be really abstract and close up. That would be more. They actually have, I was reviewing this, one of the judging panels asked me to help them with some definitions a couple of months ago. And I was looking, and actually under landscapes, if you go on your GCA website and you look at the glossary, I think they call it the yellow book, and you look at the definitions and you'll see it says landscapes. And then under landscapes, there's like general landscape, intimate landscape, detail landscape. There's all these different ones. And basically what they're doing is they're just getting like closer and closer and closer into the subject, encouraging you to fill the frame. Which, nice job, Neil. You did really well here. Where was this taken?
Taos.
Beautiful. Lovely. I love the difference in color, and the blue door is beautiful how it stands out. It's great. Let's look at this one.
Woo.
Right.
Oh, wow.
This one's great. So this invoked a reaction in all of you. Remember, if we can do that, that's a really good thing. By the way, everyone, just as I pass through, the quality of this group, I have to say, is fantastic. You guys have, I'm blown away in how many, we haven't had that many classes together, and you're really starting to deliver eye-catching photos that stand out from the crowd photography. I can see that you're taking a lot of things we're learning on board and also practicing. And this is a great example. This sometimes they give the theme breaking the rules, and this would be a good breaking the rules entry, because obviously the common thing is you want to see the elephant's face. But seeing this tells a story.
Fantastic.
And we think about, where's the elephant coming from? Now, do I like, and this is me being really harsh, do I like how the tree is kind of growing out of the elephant's head? I think there's things when we get better technically that we can do to help that, potentially by like blurring that. Don't worry about what I'm going to do. I'm just going to try and recreate this. By blurring the background, so the elephant stands out a bit more. That's one thing we could have done here. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to get too close to the elephant here. But you may remember I taught you all how to zoom. There we go. So there's the background more blurred. Now, that doesn't look great, but and especially now if we crop in on this, that to me becomes more of I think the background is somewhat distracting there. And that's a kind of a technical ceiling issue that we can work on. But I would like, this picture would also look good as a landscape. You could like offset the elephant to the right, to the left. Not quite room for me to work with here. Like that's a fill the frame picture that you would have noticed. Probably if I showed that to you at the beginning, everyone would be like, what on earth is that?
Nick Jagger.
Yeah, yeah. Well, don't tell him that. He won't like you very much if you tell him that. I think I told you the story about that I took the photo of him. He was, at the time, he was 67. He had I'll call it a weathered face to be polite. And he told me and told me and told me not to release it because it made him look, thankfully, he did not look like the butt of an elephant. But he was worried it made him look too old. But I think he's got the kind of like these elephant wrinkles. It's like it tells a story, like there's texture, there's detail, there's pattern, there's like lots to be had here. And even if I just compare these two photos, and the reason I do this is just to get you thinking. I'll just put this one back to the original. Hold on. There we go. So both good. Slightly different, and I'd argue maybe filling the frame. I mean, you could even if you wanted to. I kind of like what we've got here, but and again, this would be just be using the zoom on your camera. You could, I mean, you could go really abstract. Like it's going to be a bit blurry, but that's a fill the frame picture. But again, you got no idea. I mean, it could be the bark of a tree. I mean, so a picture like this, you would see in an art gallery, in a photography gallery, especially in a fine art photography gallery. The other picture, the original one, you'd still maybe see, but it's not as obvious. There's a great, quite a lot of you sent me wildlife photos, actually. I'm going to give you a good wildlife photographer to look at. How many of you have ever heard about of a photographer called David Yarrow? Yarrow. Okay, you can look him up in your own time. I'm just going to show you. But this guy basically just hangs out in Africa taking pictures of elephants and things. Let's go on his website. Um, but the key you'll see he does, look what here he is taking his pictures. Look at his perspective.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So he gets down really low. Now remember, we have a great iPhone trick that says that we can do that. Oh, it's definitely not dropping your iPhone, which is turning our iPhone upside down. And remember, when we turn it upside down, we gain that 8 inches, 10 inches more of low perspective. And if we happen to be on safari, or we happen to go to the zoo, or we happen to see a squirrel that we want to take a picture of, when you get low, the elephant looks humongous. That's taken from the floor. It gives grandeur to the elephant. This guy is probably the #1 wildlife photographer. Like, he does lots of work for charity and conservation. You can look him up. He's got fantastic wildlife photography for those of you, especially who like animals. Let's see if we can find some animal ones in here. There we go. The natural world. Let's have a look. But you'll see the majority of these
Oh my
are
God.
taken from a low, not always, and some of them, like, obviously you guys are not going to stand in the path of a lion. He's got his camera set up there and then he's triggering it with a remote.
Wow.
But he sells his work massive. He has galleries all over the country. He's actually English originally, but he lives now in the US. But you'll see almost all of his pictures are taken from the perspective of the animal. What I talked about earlier. So this one, he's like, these are snow monkeys in Japan. The monkeys are in the lake. He's just slightly dropped down to the monkey level. So you're looking in their eyes. And you see that done by even, like, I don't know, you could, if you have a pet and you hired someone to take pictures of your pet, there's dog photographers and there's a funny one. There's a good photographer called Carly Davidson, for those of you who like dogs. And she created this New York Times best-selling book called Shake. Basically, this is technical stuff, but the concept is fun. Is she basically went through every breed of dog, soaked them with water, and the minute they shook, she took a picture, and it became a New York Times best-selling book. People loved it. Someone bought it. And it's just dogs shaking, and you seeing them in fact, here she is, and there she is. But again, like you'll see with all of these, she's down at the animal's level. That's the key. Don't worry about the technical, how she managed to get a dog like frozen like this. That will get to. You can't do that automatically on any of your phones. And some of you may have an idea how to do this already. But yeah, the key of why I show you either David Yarrow, and they're very different. David Yarrow is kind of much more in the wilderness and like big grand photos of elephants with mountains behind them. But even like, look at the bears. You guys all live relatively near bears. They're all going to be at the bears level. Now, obviously, he's got a big zoom lens on here. He's not standing next to the bear. But it's interesting to see. Yeah, look him up. You guys may enjoy having a flick through his website. He's got some fun, especially if you see shows come up where they require pictures of animals or things. He's a good reference point that I will often use to teach. There's lots of photographers, but he's probably the most famous wildlife photographer currently living. So how do we get there? We got there by talking about the butt of the elephant here, which is really good. Who took this one, by the way? Nice job. Where in Africa, I'm guessing.
Tacoma Reserve in Africa.
Fantastic. And you took it on your iPhone?
Yes.
Good.
The only thing I took with me.
Yeah. And a nice, and out of interest, how did you turn it black and white? Did you do that on the iPhone?
Just on my phone. Yeah.
Good.
Just going to the filters on my phone.
Yeah. And again, once we go down the rabbit hole of Lightroom, I'll probably do half a class of showing you guys how to make a really impactful black and white picture, because we can kind of lift the quality of this rather than just hitting a preset to make it black and white. But really nice job. Very good.
Thank
Let's
you.
Who's the dog photographer?
say that again.
Who is the dog photographer?
Oh, good question. So the dog photographer, I'll get her name out, is her name is Carly Davidson. You see that on my screen there? She's one of many. I mean, she's living. The most famous dog photographer, for those of you who like dogs, who's unfortunately not alive anymore, but his name is Elliot Erwitt. He's a street photographer, very famous, but like Henri Cartier-Bresson famous. And he's known primarily for taking pictures of dogs. Look at this one. Look how it makes you ask a question.
Oh, wow.
I have a question regarding Natalie's portrait picture.
Sure.
Okay, when I first saw the trees, the branches of the trees, it
Yeah.
seemed to um, uh, really bring a presence to the rump of the
Mhm.
elephant. It seemed like it was a way of mimicking the two to me, the lines of the branches
Almost,
and the lines of the
almost like it's
texture of the
pulling,
skin.
almost like it's pulling you down to it.
Yeah, it felt like it was a connection to visually what I was seeing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there, but I do think it's,
Okay,
I would
you
challenge.
think it's
Yeah,
distracting?
I think it's a little distracting. And also one thing I would say, Natalie, is look where the focal point, which is basically the back of the elephant, look where that is in our frame. It's right in the middle,
Right. Mhm.
which ideally we call this bullseye composition. We don't
Mhm.
like bullseye composition generally.
I don't like
And the way I reframed it, forget about blurring the background or anything, was I just took a little bit more off the top here
And then moved it over.
and then either moved it out, yeah, moved it over just so it adhered a little bit more to the thing, the rule of thirds that we
Not
talked
quite
about.
so central.
Yeah. Well, it's not even about central left to right. That's true, but it's also central top to bottom.
I guess, Adam, what I'm trying to ask too is how do I train my eye to see from
Distracting
this
it,
direction? Yeah, yeah, yes,
distracting
yes.
things. It's a great, usually when we take pictures of flowers, people, animals, anything that I'd class under a wider definition of things, we want to try and find a non-distracting background. You want,
Non-distracting.
like, it's like if you took a picture of a vase of flowers and you included your entire kitchen behind it, that's going to be distracting because I'm going to see the flowers and I'm going to see your kitchen. I'm going to lose. Whereas if you found a nice backdrop or some nice light and you just photographed the flower, which you'll see lots of people did in a minute, then it kind of ties in, since, to answer your question of how do you train yourself? Well, you train yourself by, before you take the picture, asking the question, is everything in this photo necessary? Is everything serving to take my eye to the focal point? If the answer is no, I've got stuff here that I think is distracting. That's the whole reason I gave you this fill the frame assignment, because this is one of the hardest things that people find to do. And to think about, but it's just ask yourself that question the second before you hit the button. Do I need everything that's in this frame to be here? And if the answer is no, you've got to move, you've got to zoom, you've got to recompose. So generally for the, like, I don't know, if you watching TV and someone's advertising a burger, like the burger is up against a clean background or something, like it's not up against something loads of busy, which would pull your eye like to it. When you watch the news, like the news anchor who's talking, generally they slightly blur out the background behind them. And they'll usually like over to the right or over to the left. They're very rarely smack bang in the middle of your screen. And all of it is designed to mean that you very naturally take your attention to the focal point. Okay. Anyone else got any questions on this one? But really nice job, Natalie. Great job. Did you get any pictures of the front of the elephant as well, or did you just get the back?
Other elephants, not that one.
Oh, good. Cool. So let's move on. So let's take a look at this one.
Ooh.
This one's really creative.
Mhm.
Really nice job. So again, like I can't really, when I first looked at this picture when it was sent to me, I was like, is that a basketball hoop? Is it a water tower? I can't, it's a reflection, I think, in some form of sculpture. Feel free to tell me if it's your picture, what it is. One thing I would watch out for here, this is a great, I love the kind of the creativity here. I've mentioned this as a group before, just watch out for the edges of your frame. It's minor. It's me being a bit nitpicky, but it's something that a GCA judge would pick up on, is that that thing in the top right is a bit distracting. And again here, I probably would have gone a bit closer and like offset it a bit more. It's what's nice here is that the kind of the arch, or whatever this thing is, I have no idea what it is, and the person, look where the person is, right on my rule of thirds grid. Right, who can remember what the point is called where the two lines intersect? Pat,
Nodal,
what do we say?
nodal.
Good. It's called a nodal point.
I think that's the Space Needle.
Is that what it is? From I'd never from underneath. And then is the person who took this here?
No, she's not. It's
So
I would,
yeah, I actually think I think it's the reflection from this.
right.
I should have
Oh, wow.
I should have put these
Yeah.
two together because this is a perfect example. So almost, I actually think it's a chihuly. It looks like some type of
Right.
chihuly glass sculpture.
Chihuly Garden. Mhm.
Yeah, and I think the one on the left gives the game away.
yeah.
It's not filling. I would argue the one on the left is not a fill the frame.
Okay.
The one on the right is so much more artistic. First of all, like there's tons of distracting things. There's like this, there's the other Chihuly bit up here, there's the plants, there's like this bit of light, there's lots going on. And the composition is fairly central in this one. I would argue that picture number 2 is way more creative just by filling the frame. So yeah, interesting as well that that's the Space Needle, right? But you'd have no idea of scale when you look at this picture, which is also an important photography word. This could be, as I said, this could have been a basketball hoop that was 6 foot high, or it could have been the Space Needle that's however many hundreds of feet high. Did any of you see the thing on the news about the guy who climbed up the building in Taipei? Any of you seen that? There's a guy who, Alex Humboldt, his name is. He climbed a famous mountain in Yosemite
It's crazy.
with no ropes, and he just did a thing on live TV on Saturday night, and Netflix like streamed it. He climbed up the tallest skyscraper in Taiwan with no ropes, just like dong, 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 dong. He'll probably climb up the Space Needle one day. But anyway, that's an aside. But well done for taking both of these pictures and realizing that maybe number 1 wasn't quite filling the frame and moving to number 2. Really good, really good. Look at this one.
Ooh.
Oh.
See what I mean about the quality of what you guys are taking? It's great. It's really good.
I want to go there.
So this one looks very Jurassic Park-esque. I'm not quite sure where you are, but it's great. It looks like a painting. So the quality of the water here. This would, to Neil's question earlier, this would also probably be classed as an intimate landscape if there was an intimate landscape category because the horizon and the sky is not showing, just on an aside. Is it a fill the frame picture? Yes, arguably. I would say it's more of it's an amazing, beautiful landscape picture with the lines bringing us down here and then us following. Let's ask someone who hasn't talked today. Who's off mute. Jun, what type of, can you remember what type of leading line that kind of looks like a triangle this is called? Do you remember what it's called?
Vanishing point.
Very good. Excellent. So there's a really strong vanishing point here. Nice job. Taking us kind of down the valley. Now again, on a fill the frame assignment, there's no reason why we couldn't zoom in. I mean, I like the picture you took, but there's pictures to be had. That's a filter frame picture. It's more abstract. Same if you went on, I mean, I could do any of this. I could come here and show a little bit of the rocks, perhaps down at the bottom. And tons of different ways I could slice and dice this photo because I've got really good bones to work with. Maybe include a little bit of the foreground. That's a fill the frame picture.
Oh, that's cool.
You're seeing the texture. It's interesting if you look carefully enough, it almost looks like there's people or like shapes in the water, the way the texture's falling off it. And all those crops I think are arguably more of a conventional fill the frame. But as a capture, most importantly, for light composition color, I probably maybe would have taken a little bit off the top here, just a little bit. Right hand side is maybe a tad too bright.
Or
And we
developed.
could talk, I think we could, again, don't worry how I'm doing this here, but I think just by when we eventually take control of our cameras, I think we could tone that down a little bit. Now that was where the light was hitting, but it's just not quite so bright. Whose was this?
Mine,
Nice. Where were you?
Natalie.
Natalie, you're in Africa again?
Yes, Victoria Falls.
It's Victoria Falls. I thought it may have been. Fantastic. Beautiful picture. And this taken on your iPhone, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
I take up when I go, I take hundreds and hundreds of pictures. So,
but this looks just as good as something taken on a professional camera. And this is a perfect example where the iPhone in good light, of which Natalie had good light here, is phenomenal. Now it really like the gap is just getting like smaller and smaller between cameras and phones. Still, you can do more on your cameras. And if you're a sports photographer, like if you guys may have been excited yesterday with if I was photographing the Seahawks game, okay, I really need a professional camera. I can't really do that on an iPhone. Because I got to capture the running back. I got to it's dark. It may be dark. It may be light. There's lots of things I got to control. But for most stuff in good light, the iPhone or your Android is going to do a great job. That's not me deterring you coming off your cameras. It's more to give you encouragement that you can create high-end photographs now with your phone, which 5 to 10 years ago you could not. So nice job, Natalie. Let's look at this one. Actually, this is two pictures. And again, this is a good example, almost the same as the Space Needle one. We took the shell first, and we were like, oh, that's cool. And then we went up closer. Maybe the focus, but you found it a bit difficult here. Remember the trick, 1, 2, 3, tap to focus on both your phones and or on any of your phones, which holds the focus. But I would definitely argue that the one on the right is more a fill the frame one than the one on the left. Now, in my opinion, if I was filling the frame, I probably would have chosen a different part of the shell to focus on. I probably would have focused on the kind of the conchy bit that like lies in the middle. Like I would have done more like that. Because I think it's just more interesting and there's more to look at than that. I think it had those like concentric rings of driving you down to the bottom right-hand corner. Don't worry, it's not in focus. But again, very encouraging to see you taking both of those pictures and making the decision to fill the frame. Let's look at this one. I have no idea what this is, which is a good thing. It's a really good fill the frame example. This photo could be landscape as well. You could do it that way. Either work. Beautiful light, repetitive pattern is one of those things that we see come up again and again in photography. Actually, all of these kind of, I think they're steps, but I have no idea, are creating S-curves. Person who took this here today?
I took it.
Hey, great, John. Really good. What is it? Enlighten us.
It's a wooden floor. It's floor
Oh,
in a
very,
very beautiful palace in Porto. I just came there, right? Yeah, in Portugal.
wow.
Yeah.
So you're looking down at the floor?
Yeah, on the floor. Yeah.
Good.
But
So
it's interesting. Yeah.
it's very interesting. So again, that's a really good example of us changing our perspective. Nice job. Looking down, not looking big. And we've created this almost look, I mean, this could have been the structure of a building. It could have been my kids' building blocks. It almost looks like Jenga. But by filling the frame and not showing the whole floor and maybe some clutter on the floor or whatever else was there, this tells a really strong story. This is excellent. Very good. Nice job. Very good. Let's look at this one. Comes back to Cinz's question about non-distracting backgrounds. When we take it, some of these I'll make, but just a housekeeping thing, by the way, just a reminder, I meant to say this at the beginning. Most of you did this, but a few of you forgot. Just when you send me your photos, if your phone or your email prompts you, do you want to send it small, medium, large, actual size? Please send it to me actual size. Because if you if the email shrinks it, then sometimes I have to show it like this to make it really sharp. But this is excellent. Really good. Really, really good. Changing our angle, light coming from behind us over to our right. Lovely non-distracting background, which helps that it's been blurred. But our focus comes right to this, all this like interesting. I mean, I'm almost tempted to see what this one looks like if I turn it around this way, which kind of gives us the feeling of growth and it's like, which often we want to achieve in floral photography. We want to feel like things are bursting and blooming and sprouting. But yeah, very, very nice. Very good. What would I change here? I may have just experimented moving around the plant a little bit more. Maybe like remove, again, I'm being really critical, maybe watch out for that little bright thing back there. But definite great example of filling the frame. Let's look at this one. Let's ask Nick, where does your eye go in this picture? You're on mute. You're on mute. Oh, you went off mute and then you came back on.
Yeah, it
There we
keeps
go.
turning off automatically.
Hey, you're good.
I'm in a hotel on a crappy little old computer.
It's okay.
Probably that's a tough one. I guess at the steps. The white is where my eyes go because we're sort of triangulated there. But I can't really honestly say that anything picks me up.
So there we go. So Nick's done my teaching for me there. So this is not a fill the frame picture, in my opinion. This, I think it's a pretty picture and it's lovely showing the pots, but I think we're lacking a clear, I would say the focal point is probably the plants. It's like in here. The problem is that we want to go up the stairs and we want to, what's the umbrella up there and what's this interesting light? And there's like branches growing out here. There's lots of stuff going on here. And I would encourage whoever took this to think about, yes, this is a pretty picture, but how can I create something more artistic here? Maybe it's that I just hone in and do something on the steps. I'm just making something up. I can't really recreate it because of where you were. Maybe I come more, let me just try to take this off being a square. Maybe I come more like this, for example. That's more of a fill the frame image. And it kind of that naturally takes you to the tree at the top. It's not perfect. It's a good picture, this, whoever took this, but hopefully you can see that it's not a filling the frame shot.
It's me, and I was struggling with that, wondering, okay, how close in do I get when you've got this big building and, all this stuff. So.
Yeah, and I think it's asking yourself, what do you want to be the focal point? I mean, this is a really pretty building. You could have gone and stood on this stairwell at the bottom steps and taken a picture from a low perspective, just looking up at the steps, like framed with I don't know what was up here, but framed with these interesting white arches. I think this is a great example of us asking ourselves the question before we take the photo, A, where's the focal point? Have I got one? Hard here because there's so much. And B, if I don't, what do I want? Maybe I just want to focus on just these flowers. Maybe I want to focus just on the texture of the stairs. Maybe I want to focus on the reflections and the umbrella up there. And I need to move to get there. But I think here we're showing a little bit too much for this specific assignment. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense to the group. Let's look at this one.
Cool.
This one's a really good storytelling picture. One thing to look out for, I've mentioned this to you before, whenever you photograph people, especially animals as well, but people, try not to cut people off at the ankles or at the wrists because it makes people look like they're floating. It's like a go-to photographic rule. And here, maybe this, like, if this guy is cropped at the waist, this looks perfectly natural. Like, like that works to me. But when he's cropped right at the ankles, it just looks like he lost his shoes. It's like photo editors, like anyone who's editing a photo, it's just like a known rule. Don't well, there aren't any rules in photography, but a known guideline, try not to crop people at the wrists or at their ankles. It's a great capture here. I probably would go closer and again kind of go one of two ways. I'd show them with I kind of like seeing the street like that coming up to them. That's forming a leading line. You also could have gone the other way. I don't think it's quite as interesting. I like this crop here. It's a great capture of kind of a moment, a story. I like that we don't see the whole of this gentleman here in the archway. And it's a really good street. This one would look good black and white, by the way. Really good. You've got good lighting to turn that one black and white. But nice job of capturing a candid moment. Most of you, the majority of stuff you send is landscape and still life. This is one of the very few that's more of a kind of document, like a travel, I would call it a travel or street photo. But well composed, well put together. Just watch out for it's a good teaching aid for me to remind you not to crop at the wrists or the ankles. This one's great. Really good. I just would get rid of that background. We don't need it. Again, when I crop, everything kind of stays it. But that much more fill the frame. I don't need that dark shadow in the corner. Again, when you photograph anything close up like this that has such interesting pattern and light, don't be afraid to tilt your camera. I'm not saying it works perfectly here, but don't be afraid to do this or do this. It works amazingly, especially if you experiment and you just play around with abstract things. The minute you start tilting your camera, it's not like tilting your camera and taking a picture of a sunset and the beach and the horizon, or Seattle and the Space Needle looks like it's falling over, but it can help create more movement or flow in your image, especially when we're doing these kind of fill the frame floral images. Someone had a question.
Yeah, so with a pattern like that,
Yeah.
what do you say about a focal point?
Yeah, good question. So do you remember I said, I kind of caveated at the beginning, I said almost always you want a focal point. When there is a lot of repetitive pattern, detail, texture, like this, or like Jun's picture, for example, both of these, then generally we actually don't have a focal point. The subject is the focal point and it's the pattern. Occasionally, and there's lots of ways you can do this, Neil. You could say, I only want this guy to be in focus and I want everything else to be blurry slightly. That's the technical stuff we're going to talk about. That would help take your eye up here, even how I've positioned it there on the nodal point. But in like Jun's example here, and I'll pull up another one, like let's look at this one. Okay. That one, again, it's all about the abstract. Arguably, both of those, what I think are shells or something would take you here. They kind of bring you in. They almost look like they're having a conversation, but there's not necessarily a definitive focal point. And when you see, Neil, the kind of the genre of abstract or close up or macro come up, a lot of the time pictures like this will be produced that don't necessarily have one definitive focal point, but are more all about the lines and the patterns. In fact, there's a great photographer who I've mentioned to you before. I'm just going to show you one picture because you guys are in Seattle and this is relevant to you. So there's a photographer called Andreas Gursky. I showed him to you a long time ago on our first lesson. Look at this photo he took of the warehouse, the Amazon warehouse.
All right.
You may have seen this before. And here I would argue that that has no focal point. It's like, whoa, look at all this stuff. It's just repetitive pattern and line and shape. If anything, he wants you to look at that and feel a little bit uncomfortable, being like, wow, look at all this stuff. This guy is, I mean, he's known for making it. I've shown you this picture before. Do you remember this picture I showed you of the 99-cent store? Same photographer. This one has a bit more of a focal point, but you can see a lot of his work is just like pattern and pattern and pattern and pattern and line and line and line and shape and shape and shape, especially like this Amazon one is a great example. You can look him up, but hopefully that answers your question, Neil. Cool. Let's carry on. Let's look at this one. Let's make it nice and big. Everyone see it big again? Okay, so here to me, this is, yes, definitely filling the frame. But I think there's an opportunity here to do a lot more. I think we can really start to think about going closer in, creating something that is a bit more eye-catching. Again, like I do it very naturally without really thinking because it's my job and I look at thousands of photographs a day. But you'll see kind of very naturally, I'll often like put the eye or the focal point like close to or on one of those nodal points. I mean, you could even, let's put it this way. If you want to be really abstract, you could do that. I don't like that as much. I think your eye goes into the space at the top. Um, but this, again, this is a great capture, very sharp, but it's more to me, this picture, about documenting the sculpture. Much like we had the two Chihoulis where we kind of documented it and then we came close up. Like you could have taken a photo of this and just focused on the lips and the mouth. It's going to look a bit blurry from here. Kind of like the elephant. It's the same, it's the same concept. I could slice and dice this a lot of ways. But even just coming in more like this, if I wanted it really to be like a really like piercing stare, and I'm taking there right to those, I could create some symmetry here. I'm taking right to those eyes that are sitting on the top 2/3 of the frame. This picture looks weird if the eyes are in the middle. Doesn't quite feel as comfortable. Hopefully you can see that you kind of, and you see this if you look, pick up any magazine cover with a celebrity or an athlete or a politician on the front cover, the eyes will never be smack bang in the middle. They'll usually be centered 2/3 of the way up the frame. Just feels more natural to us. Takes your eye in. Look out for that. If you're at the grocery store and you see all those magazines when you're like checking out, you'll see like the celebrity, the eyes will always be, usually the top of the head will often be chopped off. It's an example of filling the frame. This one's great. Really good. The only thing, and again, this is me being really nitpicky, is I don't necessarily like that line that we're seeing at the end through here. Now, that may have been unavoidable, but maybe we could have moved a sliver up. Like if you would have moved your camera up, then I reckon all you would have seen in here is more kind of black hole, non-distracting space. Positioning of this, really nice, well done. Look, it's on the bottom third, 1/3, 2/3, following the rule of thirds almost to perfection. Again, this photo could have worked this way. It could have worked this way just as well. Almost looks like an eye, like an eyeball. But really nice job of shoving your camera into the sculpture to fill the frame. Whose was this one?
That's me. Thanks.
Who is it? Since. Okay, sorry, you guys cycle. I can only see 5 at a time. So really, no. Is this another Chihuly? Since this also looks.
No, it's not. It's someone else.
Oh, some type of glass sculpture there.
Yeah, it is someone else that
Very
is.
good. Excellent. Good. Let's look at this one. This one's really fun. Notice the non-distracting background. It's really good for the person. Attention goes to the person. The only thing I would say with this one is generally when we take a picture of a person or an animal, we want attention to go to that. Not always, but most of the time we want attention to go to their face. Now, the way that this has been composed, yes, it fills the frame because we're not showing like her pants, her shoes, her trousers. But I would maybe argue that her head is a little bit too far up. It's very easy to get stuck in this region here, rather than the drama and the kind of the whole part, the beauty of this photo is like the flowing hair, is her up here, is that straight away, I think just elevates this photograph. We straight away go to her eye, to the hair, non-distracting background, much more fill the frame than this one where I just feel we get a little bit trapped in her torso. Even we want to kind of, her hands are actually forming a vanishing point here. And we kind of want to follow her hands down here, which is not where we want to go. We want to go up to her face. Really good. Who took this one? This is excellent in terms of capturing the moment. Nice job, Lucy. Really good. Really, really good. Did you ask her to swing her head, or did she just swing her head and you capture the moment?
Just happened. I thought it was so cool, the hair like that.
Yeah, it's
It
brilliant.
was a graduation photo for a
Yeah,
friend.
fantastic. Really good. Really,
This
really
is
good.
such a good idea to craft like that.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I've told you guys before, and I'll tell you guys again. Don't be afraid. All too often, especially on phones, everyone wants to take photos this way. Portrait, portrait, portrait. It used to be the opposite. Everyone on cameras always was landscape, landscape, landscape. But don't be afraid to change your orientation or experiment with both. We can crop it afterwards, but if we can get it in camera, that's much better. And nice job, Lucy. Really nice job on capturing this like fleeting
Thanks.
moment. Look at these guys. Really interesting.
That's nice.
Love the use of focus here. Shallow depth of field. We talked about that in the previous class. Well done for obtaining focus on the front figurine. Again, are probably minor, but I'd probably just crop it down just a tad, just to take out some of that. The red in the back a little bit distracting, maybe. I may have seen if I could position myself to not, but well done whoever took this because you tilted the camera. So you did take my feedback on board. This makes the figurines create more of a sweep rather than them just feel like they're like one stacked on top of the other, stacked on top of the other, which again would be nowhere near as interesting. So not and well done here for getting down to their perspective. Really good. Look at this one. Looking down. Love the droplets on the plant. Let's ask, I can just see, let's ask Cindy. We haven't, actually, let's ask Pamela. We haven't heard from you today. Hello. Where does your eye go? You're on mute. So if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself, where does your eye go here?
My eye goes to that large central leaf and then kind of down into the middle of the plant.
Yeah, it kind of ends up in this dark hole, right? Somewhere in here. And
Yeah.
again, probably that's not where we want it to go. To me, the drama of this picture is up here. So the question I have to ask myself is, how can I slightly move my camera, slightly reposition myself, slightly reframe in order to get that to be the focal point? Now, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to do it here, but the answer is to, in this case, I would have shifted myself one step to the left, this way. And then I would have shot more, rather than shot down on this, I would have come slightly lower and shot up at it, just a little bit. That would have avoided seeing this kind of dark hole and made this, which is lovely, and that's what's sitting in the great, gorgeous light, the focal point. Again, you could have, even if you wanted to, you could have got really close up. You could have shoved your camera right in this. It's going to be blurry, but just to give you an idea, and done that. That's not beyond any of your phones to be able to capture an image like that. It's just thinking that I'm going to zoom with my feet. I'm going to create a fill the frame picture. Look at this one. Beautiful. Really, really pretty picture. Lucy, where's your eye go?
Follow those architectural lines, throughout the photo, just following them to the green part.
Yeah, now do you end up here or do you end up over here? Or do you see both? And I mean, now I've told you, you've looked at it for a long time. You see both? Neil, where do you use your eye go? You're on mute.
I
Yeah.
took this picture and now I
Oh.
see problems, but
Go
I
on.
I kind of went to the posts.
Yeah, I agree. And I actually don't think this is a problem picture. I think this is a very good picture. Do I think it's a fill the frame picture? Probably not. It's a great intimate landscape. But the problem is if I go down here, which I could do, I'm going to lose all that interest. To me, the interest of this photo, the subject is actually not the greenery.
Right.
The subject is the structure. It's this interesting.
And I was sitting on the floor.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Very good. So we sat on the floor, which made, like Lucy said, these lines look bigger. I think this is a very strong image. I just don't think it's a fill the frame picture. Um, I think if we would have sat on the floor and gone and sat right next to this fence and shot through this fence, I think it would have been a bit messy, but focused on maybe one of the fences, it would have been more of a fill the frame picture. But I think it's a real storytelling picture. Feels very calm, feels very like tranquil and beautiful. The lighting is very soft. And I think ultimately it's more of a intimate landscape that comes as
Yeah. See, I was led astray by your intimate landscape.
yeah, it's okay. No, and even I would argue, look at the path on the right there, Neil.
I know.
I'd probably take that out. So just watch for the edges of your frame. But really good capture, really good. Remember, everyone, take my criticism with a pinch of salt. It's meant to help you improve. All of these photos you've done a great job on. My job is I just have to provide constructive criticism, otherwise I don't make you better.
That's why we gave it to you.
Yeah, nice job. Let's look at this one. Now, one thing that actually we haven't talked about much as a group is symmetry. And symmetry is a powerful weapon that we have in photography. This photo almost, and you see it in architecture, you see it in nature, you see it in landscape design. It almost looks like we put a mirror straight down the middle and we've got perfect symmetry. Really nice job on not showing the sides of the church. We've got, I mean, here I would argue we have two really strong things helping to make this. You've got a vanishing point. The steps are creating a vanishing point up to the door. You've got symmetry, plus you've got rule of thirds. So the door, kind of like how I position the door, is only 1/3 of the way up the frame, and then you've got 2/3 of the church. This is excellent. Who took this one? It's a really good architectural photo.
I took it.
Good.
Also
Very
in
nice.
Portugal.
In Portugal as well. Nice.
Yes.
Really, really good. And actually, I wanted to use that. I'm going to pull up these. I'm going to actually pull up these four as examples next to it, because these are all architectural pictures.
Yeah, all mine.
Oh, they're all yours. Great. So,
Sorry, I sent them not for the assignment. I just want your opinion.
Oh, it's okay.
I
It's
wasn't
okay.
sure about if they are filling frame or not.
Yeah.
So I sent it later last night and asked you
okay.
if they are on. Yeah.
I wanted to put these together because this is a good teaching lesson for everyone. You can see how in this picture, right, the building feels like it's falling over a little. Looks like it's leaning, right? You can all see that it's leaning back. You can see not so much in this one. This one's a good low perspective picture, but it still feels like it's leaning a little bit. But this one, I definitely would have probably just focused on these like interesting men kind of climbing up the steps. I don't think we need to see the whole sculpture. But the main thing is like, here's a perfect example of this one compared to this one. Okay? Generally, when you take a picture of a building, you want to try as best you can to have your camera straight. The opposite of what I just told you for the abstract close-up texture pictures. If you pull your camera and it's leaning too far forward or backwards, i.e. that's to say that it's whether you're taking it this way or this way, I'll do it from here so you can see. If your camera is like tilted like this or tilted like this or tilted like this or tilted like this, the building is going to look like it's falling over. And GCA hate that, as do most of us as photographers. There's tons of ways that, like, when we get to Lightroom, we can work to like correct it. But ultimately, what I want the picture to look like is I want it to be nice and straight, like that. And we could have got this picture nice and straight, just as it was before. There it is now. Don't worry how I did that, because it's more I want you to get it right in the camera. Whenever you're photographing architectural photography, train stations, buildings, the Space Needle, whatever, you want to try, unless you're trying to intentionally distort it, which is what you're seeing here, this is distortion. We want to try and keep our camera as level as possible. It's a really good learning lesson to come out of those ones that I can show you. Let's look, and let me move these three together. Let's look at these three. All interesting. Let's take them one at a time. They kind of go together almost as a set. This would be a good triptych. But the one on the left, I think there's an easy thing here, is that the mushroom is too far in the middle. I would take out all of that foreground, that background up there. Pull it more up to the top of the frame. Exactly like I did with the eyes. Excellent picture here. Again, you could have chosen, if you wanted to just focus on a small part of the mushroom. Like, that's a fill the frame picture, but arguably there you're going to the bright part. I think the picture you took was excellent. I just think there was a little too much at the top. Great example of a clean, non-distracting background. This one is 100% fill the frame. Really good. No definitive focal point. I don't think it matters here because we've got so much abstractness going on. Arguably, would I have come in and tried to find a focal point? Maybe. Maybe I would have made one of these leaves. So kind of, I feel like I've created an S-curve taking us up here to the nodal point. But the key is that you're not showing me the whole tree here, which is really good. And same with this one. Whatever this is, some type of plant or fungus, I'm not sure what it is. But this is really, really good in terms of coming. I'll just make it a bit smaller so you can see actually the person who sent this to me, this was very sharp when they took it. Now, this one, arguably, do you go to the top flower? Do you go to the bottom flower? Maybe you're torn between both. Maybe you could have focused on one or the other. But it's still 10 out of 10 for me when it comes to filling the frame. Good job. Who took this one?
Cindy.
Cindy, nice. What is it? You're on mute.
I knew you were going to ask. It's a really cool daisy flower. It's like pink and then it turned into that.
Wow.
And I just came outside and went, oh, it's an extraterrestrial. So I had to take it.
Yeah, it's great. I thought it was some type of fungi or fungus. And you could have even have said, I'm just going to focus on this really weird, one down here. Maybe framed it the other way. It kind of looks a bit like the upside down world. But tons of things that you could have, maybe let's see if we got it this way with that portrait. So the line leads us down towards it. But really interesting. And again, nice job, Cindy, on filling the frame because I would have no idea what that was. Let's look at this one. Now I know whose is whose. I know that this is Neil's photo because it's the same guy. I'm now starting to guess whose is whose. I looked at these a while ago and now I can see. This is not a fill the frame picture. Definitely not. But it's a really strong shot in terms of where you've chosen to put the person doing the gardening, the landscaping, the way that the trees bring them in. Again, I think, Neil, there was that conflation between intimate landscape and fill the frame, a little bit going on here. But a great.
I also took thousands of photos of that one guy.
That's good. That's your first 10,000 of it. You'll see what will happen. What's really interesting is as you take more photos, as you take more and more photos, your success rate becomes better. So you're not I have to take 100 photos to get there. The aim is that your success rate becomes better. And actually, as you practice, you have to take less in order to get to where you really need to be. Because
and he was moving.
He's moving, of course, but you can also move.
Yeah.
You can correspond to his movement. Look at this one. This one's great. Excellent fill the frame. Strong use of leading line, taking us up. This one definitely has a strong focal point. The blur and everything has made us fall off into the strong subject here of the water drops. It's really good. Really, really good. Nice job. And whoever took this had to get relatively low to get the water. Whose is this one? You here today? No. But really, really, really good job. Evoke a reaction in all of you, which is what we're looking for. Look at this one.
Oh, wow.
This one I know is Nick's because I was thinking about iguanas and he sent me this. I'm fascinated. Where are you, Nick, when you took this? You're still on mute. Try again. There we go.
It goes off automatically. That's in the Galapagos.
The Galapagos. I thought you
I
know
had
that.
to getting one of these things to spritz is impossible.
I mean, you could enter this in Wildlife Photographer of the Year. This is great. I mean, like as a behavioral photo in the moment, the level of sharpness, the again, well done for even the blurring of like all the other lizards, iguanas at the front, clearly kind of giving the subject room to breathe. You positioned him or her on the left of the frame, which was the smart choice to do. A lot of people who are not trained photographers, they'd have it, the lizard over here, pointing this way. Sorry for my terrible picture of a lizard. But this all comes together. There's no doubt we've got a very strong focal point. And then as a you've changed your perspective, you've got low. There's lots of technical stuff that I know has gone into this as well. I'll just talk technical for a second for you, Nick. You could have potentially sped up your shutter speed here a little bit faster to get the spray, like so you saw every drop. So that's being pedantic and hard on you. But I think you've got a fantastic capture here. It's really very, very good. Nice job. Very nice job. And again, like there could have been opportunity here. Just imagine he didn't have the spray coming out his nose or her nose. Like we could have just gone here. That's filled the frame. Like it's even focusing just on like the spikes off the back. But I know it doesn't look good because it's not focused, but that's filled the frame. Just like going and doing a nice, oops, daisy, doing a nice tight portrait of the iguana. I think it's an iguana. That's filled the frame. They almost look like they're smiling in that one. Their lips look like they're made of gold. It looks like he's got gold teeth. But really good. Really, really nice job. Excellent. Let's take a look at this one. Well done on the positioning of the moon. Very calm photo, not showing the skyline. Is it a fill the frame photo? Maybe, probably not. But it's a strong, again, maybe on this one, it seems to be a recurring theme today. I probably would have gone this way. I don't think you needed necessarily all that negative space. And again, if I'm being really critical, I think much like we saw with Cince's photo, well, it wasn't Cince, it was whoever took the photo of the Lucy, who took the photo of the girl, how the girl's head was too high up. I think the moon here is a little bit too far to the right. I'd want it like more like there. Just feels like it's falling out of the frame a little bit. It feels a tiny bit unbalanced. Hopefully you can all see that. And actually, if I put my rule of thirds grid on, it kind of confirms that. Just feels like it's a tiny bit like taking us out there, but the cloud wants to pull us the other way. But nice capture of the moon. Look at this one. One's good. Succulents are well, when I set the fill the frame assignment, they are the most common type of flower plant that I see come up because they're fascinating when you get in close with them in terms of the shape and the pattern. You can go to a succulent garden, it's a great place to practice fill the frame. This photo could have been like this. It could have been like this. And you got I shouldn't say you've got no idea what it is, but it's got this concurring shape and pattern and line. Lighting very good in this one. That brings you to where we want it to go. But this guy. It's not a fill the frame picture, but it's a good example of perspective and nice job framing and focus just on the frog's eye. Again, I'd probably be removing some of that background. Now the frog is almost camouflaged here. But I don't think we need all of that. Or I'd be thinking I don't necessarily have to even show the frog's legs. Why can't I just do a portrait of it like that? Or I can push it to the other side. It's not quite so centered. I think that takes you to the frog's eyes better than that. I think here the frog is a little too centralized. Watch out for that, everyone. Bullseye composition. Stuff too much in the middle. This, I think, is a salad, but I'm guessing. but a great example of filling the frame to kind of Neil's point when he asked about, sorry, when they asked about whether there's a focal point or not. Here, there's no focal point, I wouldn't say, but it doesn't matter because it's abstract. There's pattern, there's shape, there's color, there's line. It's much like one of those like the Gursky Amazon photo that I shared with you. Really nice job. Whose is this? Confirm that it's
That's
a salad.
me.
Since, was it a salad?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, great. Since, watch out when I noticed that some of you watch the aspect ratios when I don't know if you cropped it like this on purpose, but you can see that it's almost like a panoramic. It's quite long and skinny.
No, I think it's the way I took this particular picture in many angles. So
Yeah.
it could have been a panoramic when I took it, but it didn't send it to you that way. And
It may have been,
that
but
kind
yeah,
of
let's
thing.
try and keep the aspect ratio native at 3:2. This one,
Okay.
really good. This is filling the frame. Again, I could probably go even further. I can't, I wish I had a bit more room to play with here, but like, yeah, I'm not crazy about that line. Maybe I preferred it better how you had it. There we go. But definitely sweeps us up to the top right of the bridge, which is where we want to go. But I think a few of you may say, my eye gets stuck down here, which is ultimately not the focal point. The focal point's up here. So I would probably, again, be just shifting my camera up a little bit to remove some of this foreground element. I don't think it needs to be there. For a fill the frame assignment. For this one. Nick again, you can put your thumbs up, you're on mute. No? Not sure whose this one is, I can't remember. Watch out for cutting off the birds at their feet. It's a little bit close at the bottom there, much like the person in the street who we cut them off at their ankles. Really good. It's definitely not a fill the frame shot. So I'm going to move up, but it's a very good capture. Great color, great lighting, lovely depth of field, lots of stuff going into it. Fill the frame would be, we're going to like hone in on one of these guys if we have the capability. Maybe even, I mean, that's distracting. You would have had to move to get the other one. But I think in this, fill the frame doesn't always work. Fill the frame is encouraged to get you to think about the challenge of what do you take out rather than what do you include. That's the key. Now, that's not every tool I teach you when I talk about perspective and keeping the camera straight and symmetry and rule of thirds and all these different things that I'm throwing at you, which I'm aware is a lot. We don't have to use every tool in every picture. My job is just to give you the toolbox, and then you pick what. Maybe fill the frame is right for something. Maybe symmetry is right. If you were photographing Victoria Falls, you might well want to show the whole thing because it's this enormous epic landscape. So take each of these themes and these tools not as being gospel, like you have to do it in every one of your photos. It's more just giving you the skills to be able to say, when I take this specific photo, what am I going to include? What am I going to use? This one has framing. This one has fill the frame. Now, again, a tiny thing here, but I would have dropped a tiny bit lower and I would have made this bridge come in here. So it wasn't blocked. And that's literally dropping by like maybe 3 inches lower, or gone 3 inches higher. So the bridge was up here. I think it would have been better going lower though. But clearly a fill the frame picture again. Nice job. Let's look at this one. There's a ton of floral ones that I'm going to bring up all together because they naturally go with each other. Hey, look at all of these. The color and lighting and composition. Every single one of these is a great example of filling the frame. Every single one of them is a great example of using lighting to your advantage. Every single one of them has a clean, non-distracting background. Everyone has a really strong focus. Most of them have the play within rule of thirds as well. So really well done on her. These are like, if you throw a GCA fill the frame exercise, you're going to see the majority of pictures will probably look like this if they're good because it's floral. and they're close. But each one of these, really nice job on thinking about, I don't have to show the whole plant rather than some of it to tell a story. Look at this one. Looking up at the mushrooms in the tree. Again, watch out for, these are called specular highlights over here. Specular highlights. That's bright bits that can sometimes pull our attention away from the subject. When I took this picture, I would have, or whoever took this picture, I would have moved 2 steps to my right and taken the same picture. So that wasn't there. I think that's distracting. But in terms of line and symmetry and shape, not symmetry, but line and shape and pattern, these concentric rings, almost looks like a fan. Really interesting. Really, really interesting. Nice job. Okay. Definitely not a fill the frame picture, but a fun picture nevertheless. But this is, remember I said about the technical ceiling? This is a good example. This sets up next lesson really nicely. Look how only 2 of these ladies are sharp. Really. So only these 2 ladies are sharp. Now, I'm imagining these ladies are all part of the same group. They're all wearing the same shirt.
Nice.
This lady is not going to be very happy that she's really blurred, but her friend is really sharp. And even the lady at the front is like, why am I not sharp? That is a technical ceiling. So is a lot of the light, but that's a classic one where like the iPhone has just tried to give you, or the phone or the camera has tried to give you as you see it, but it has no idea if you're taking a picture of an apple, 6 humans, or an iguana. It doesn't matter. So this picture, the kind of the downside, it's a great angle, but here you can clearly see how the fact that we can't control something called depth of field, and this happens tons. You see like wedding photographers and event photographers. I teach loads of them, and they'll take a group picture of a wedding, and there'll be the bride and groom, and the bride and groom will be sharp, and then the rest of the wedding party is like getting blurrier and blurrier. Sometimes the worst thing is if the bride is blurry and the wedding party is sharp. So we'll learn to control that next time. Look at this one. Really nice job. And changing our perspective, looking down. Again, this would be a great one to just focus on the hands. If we're going full fill the frame, just again, this is a technical limit. Look at the hands. You see how they're a tiny bit blurry? That's because they're moving. We're going to talk about that next time. But there's not much you can do when your phone's on automatic. But I like the crop with the hands just as much as I like the one where you see the full lady. Different, but both help to tell a story. Same here. This one's really good, depth of field. Again, maybe the food is a little bit too much down at the bottom, kind of like how that girl was too much at the top, or the moon was a bit further to the right. I just want the food being a little bit further up the frame, but creating this shallow depth of field, which is where something is sharp and the rest is blurry, really helps to elevate the artistry of this picture. Let's finish. I've actually shown you most of these already. Let's do a speed round. Let's go through these. So we'll bring up these 2 next to each other because they're really similar. No focal point in either, doesn't matter. Both really good at filling the frame. The one on the left, I love the S-curve. The one on the right, they almost look like the heads of praying mantis. Like they all look like the head of millions of praying mantises up there. And there's the praying mantis. But really nice job on this one. Watch out, by the way, on the top right up here. Watch out for the edge. Don't need to see that up there. I'd crop that out. But clearly fulfilling the brief I gave you. Whereas maybe like this one is a really nice photo. Good front-facing light, but I don't think it's filling the frame. And hopefully after looking at all the examples that we've looked at today, it's becoming clearer what a fill the frame picture is rather than a still life or a detail or an intimate landscape. They're all just subtly different. Not a bad photo at all, but a fill the frame version of this would be, I don't know, focusing just on the spokes or something. Let's see if I can try and work this. Yeah, I can't really recreate it. Let's see, maybe like that. Again here, a lot of you are leaving a little bit too much on the top. Watch out for that. And putting the subject too much in the center. Easy fix that one. Take off a bit on the top, move a little bit to a right. Straight away get the flow of the flowers coming right to left. Excellent use of focus. I bad on myself there. I left a little bit on the right-hand side there. That's better. And that, compared to this, helps drive us to the focal point and just create a better composed photo. This is a great example of a fill the frame. These Jahoolis really lend themselves to it because of all the vibrant colors. Now, the lighting's not coming from the ideal place here. Again, this is another technical ceiling issue. The Jahoolis are a bit too dark. Nothing you can do about that until you learn what we're going to learn next time, which I need you to have the Lightroom map to do. But in general, guys, as I say, everyone did a phenomenal, like even this one, how the eyes of the dog are on that lower third. This is definitely fill the frame. I'm not seeing the dog's like back and their tail and their back legs. I'm not even seeing their nose, just we get straight into their eyes. It's really well done, whoever took this one. Excellent. Really, really good. Super sweet dog, but we feel like, oh, look at that cute dog because we're looking straight into their eyes. We've got that emotional engagement. Same here with this one. I think this is that same building that we were playing with before. I think this is a better, again, maybe not fill the frame, but it's a better composed picture in terms of taking our eyes down the vanishing point, up the spiral staircase, keeping us contained within the scene. Okay. Who haven't I covered? I'll do a quick one here. There's a few here that we haven't looked at. Let's just quickly, if you will give me a minute or two more of your time. This one is really good. Beautiful. Blue and yellow complementary color. Offset here. I want to make sure I show everyone's pictures, and I do you all justice. The problem is you're all sending me good pictures, which is good. Look at this one. This one's really abstract and artistic. This one's going a bit more into the realm of what can we do with a photograph afterwards. It's gone through some type of post-production, I think. But not a fill the frame picture, I don't think. Unlike these. I've shown the one on the top right already, but those are all excellent filling the frame. And actually the picture I wanted to end on was this picture of a cow who someone took. Because this is a great example, again, of we've documented the cow. It's great. The cow's looking right in our face. And look at the original picture that was taken. It had all of this, like these other cows and the cow's foot straight away coming in on the cows. I mean, you could even go in as much as just say, I'm going to go in and just be on like a tiny bit of the cow and just really focus on let's maybe put the eye on the top right nodal point. That way, you could go this way. Tons of ways that you could do this where you're starting creating something that's abstract, but still takes you up to the eye. Look good in black and white, this one as well. But as you can see, you all did a really, really great job, as I said. The standard of like this group is really like top notch for the level we're currently at. So I want to push us on. I really want to push us on to the next level. And the next level, as I say, is combining the technical. Now, in order to combine the technical, I'm going to set you an exercise that's getting you to start thinking about something that we haven't yet thought about, but I'm going to get you to think, I'm going to teach you a bit more about it on the next class. And I don't, remind me if I've set you this, but I'm almost certain I haven't from checking my notes. I want to set you guys the theme of movement. I haven't said that to this group, have I? I'm almost 100% sure now. So I want you to think about movement. Now, movement, I'm going to leave you with this to think about. I don't want to tell you what to take a picture of, but movement is usually twofold in photography. It's one, what are we doing? Are we still? Are we on a boat? Are we on a wobbly bridge? Are we being blown around in the wind? That's one way to think about movement. The second is, what's the subject doing? Is it a waterfall? Is it a hummingbird? Is it a dog? Is it a kid on a swing? How are they moving? I want you to experiment with how your cameras on your phones or your camera, but for most of you, it's on your phones, how your phones capture movement. Now, I want you to also think about rule of thirds and framing and fill the frame. And doesn't mean all of that stuff goes out the window. Everything we've learned so far, we're building a tower, and this is going to be the next block in our tower of what helps. It was on my own original ingredients list on the very first class. One of the things that makes a good photograph is the ability to be able to convey movement. Okay? And again, send me 3 to 5, please. And our next class, again, I'll send the recording out to everyone this evening, so you'll have it. And just to confirm, our next class is on the 20, no, the 9th, Feb 9th. Monday, Feb 9th. Is that correct? Confirm for me. I'm just looking.
Yes.
Yeah, Monday, Feb 9th at the same time. So we've got 2 more. We've got Feb 9th and Feb the 23rd. And then the other thing as a homework, please download Lightroom. I'd love for you to all have it on your phones ready to go for the next lesson, because we're going to get a little bit more technical. Okay? Anyone got any questions?
So for the assignment, we should take picture of the moving subject.
Anything, yeah. Anything that you interpret as movement. That could be water. That could be water and it like coming out the tap of your kitchen. That could be cars going down the street. That could be a kid on a bicycle. But a movement assignment would not be like Neil's photo of the structure and like the greenery. That's not movement. So I want you to try and find, in truth, almost everything in the natural world moves, unless it's a building. Like every flower, if you go out and buy a flower, it's slightly fluttering in the wind. But I want you to really try to think about, what can I find that conveys movement?
Okay.
It's a challenging assignment, but my job is to get you guys to think. Okay?
Okay.
Good. I will stop the recording there, and I will see you all in a couple of weeks. Very nice to see everyone. Enjoy the rest of your January. Let's keep up the good work. You guys are doing great as a group. It's a really exciting group to teach. Really enjoying looking at your photography. So let's keep it up, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I see.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.
Thank you very much.